You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The views expressed by the individuals during this broadcast are their own opinions, and they may not be the same as those of their group or other organizations they may be involved with.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Pace Radio Show. We are live here on the network's YouTube channel, Facebook pages, CBG TV, as well as your smart TV. Hello, Tamara. How are you doing tonight?
I'm excellent, Al. How are you doing?
Not too bad. I see you're all in the festive spirit there. You got your Santa cap on. You're dressed in red.
Yep, I got the spirit this year. Actually, usually I'm a bah hamburger, but you know what? It's just too much energy to be miserable. So I'm just trying to get in the spirit. And we got our tree up last night and all decorated. I found my Grinch and I'm a happy girl today. So just got off work. I'm running in the door as we speak. I was getting out of my car as we were getting ready for the show. So I'm here. We're just busy as like it's Christmas, right? So we're making cookies and catering, and it's been crazy.
And you mentioned off air, you're right back at it again tomorrow.
And actually I'm doing a Saturday work, but I'm not working for my own boss. I got myself a second gig. I'm working at the Colombo Hall and doing some Italian seniors dinner on Saturday. So I'm volunteering there. So just, paying it forward as I'm doing more volunteer. It's volunteer work.
It's all volunteer work, eh? Jeez,
Yeah.
Like you were so busy there with the Ukrainian thing, doing volunteering, and now you're getting into this.
I'm still doing that too. I got a meeting tomorrow night. I'm still doing the shelter for the Ukraine. We're actually meeting tomorrow night. We've given all our families a $2,000 grant for Christmas. So tomorrow night we're filling out our cards, and we've got checks for every one of the families, and our foundation is giving them a $2,000 Christmas present to help them out for Christmas.
Oh,
we've raised a lot of money, and we have to spend the money on them. It's for them.
Yeah.
So we have 14 families that we're giving $2,000 to tomorrow night. And so I get to go and pick up the cards, and I get to go deliver some good cheer tomorrow night. And they have no idea that they're going to get a check for $2,000 tomorrow night. Yeah.
Well, unless they're watching tonight.
Well, you know what? Lana might be. Hi, Lana. Are you watching? It's fun because I've taught them all how to use cannabis too. They all want to know about cannabis. It's legal in Canada. It's so outlawed over there. You can't even speak, but they're huge hemp farmers. So they know about the benefits of CBD, and they know about the benefits of a hemp plant. So now that they're here, I've been teaching them how to make candies and make chocolates and infuse their cannabis and infuse their coconut oils. And I've done several little workshops with them, and I love it. I love the fact that they're using cannabis as medicine too.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, share the knowledge, right? Spread it around so others can gain it as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's right.
No doubt. That's fantastic. So you must get the holidays all planned?
We don't have much plans. I'm just waiting for Alan to come home, and it's usually we have a quiet, Christmas. I'm hoping that my daughter will come, but because of circumstances with her dad passing away, and then her half sister's mom also passed away, so those kids have no families. So she told me that if she comes, she's got to bring them. So we might have a full house this Christmas. I'm not sure quite yet what the plan is, but I might have three teenage girls and a teenage boy, because my boy just turned 13 on Monday. So I now have another teenager.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, yeah, exactly. You'd be giving them a home to come to for Christmas, family setting and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And with like I said, everything, whatever, those kids didn't ask for this. These kids, it's not their fault what past I have with their dad. It doesn't matter. To me, it doesn't matter. They're kids, they need somewhere to be. They're welcome here. So
right. Good. Awesome. So what else What else we doing? We got about another minute here. We'll bring our guests in. Got anything else you want to touch on now? You're good?
I want to wish Debbie Stoltz Giffen a happy birthday because her birthday was yesterday. So I want to wish her a happy birthday because she, is the reason, not the reason we have our guests tonight, but she is instrumental in helping the guests that we have tonight as well.
Yeah.
So I'd like to shout out and wish Debbie Stoltz Giffen a happy birthday. And I just excited to introduce this lovely family to our community. They've been instrumentally trying to help their daughter. And you know that because of Sarah and Maya, how I am,
Right.
losing that child was really, and having that Haley, right? I was really close to them, and I still am close to Sarah. But I mean, being where I was, and the fact that I was, and I think you were there too, Al, in 2012 when we went out to Ottawa, when Haley Rose got her first licensing. And Haley is, our first child that was licensed in Canada, and Haley just turned 30. So, you know what I mean? Like, so we have had failures, but we have so many more successes. And I want to make sure that we, introduce the rest of the community to this family in Nova Scotia because they need our help. They need funding. They need us to fight for them. And we need the rest of the community to step up because Maritimers for medical marijuana do a great job, but they're one of us. And there are so many of us across Canada, and we need to push for children's health. And this is about the kids that need the medicine, right? And we still are with the medical program back and forth and the cost and the affordability. And that's a big thing for this family. So I want to make sure that the rest of the community is being introduced, and they want to introduce them to our community so that we can help them.
All right, here we go. Here's we'd like to welcome Kaylee and Nick Jones to the Pace Radio Show. Welcome, Kaylee and Nick. How you doing?
Not too bad. How are you guys doing?
Not too bad. I hope. We're about to get a storm here. As far as heavy snow, I hope it doesn't make its way to you in the coming days.
Yeah, I feel like it's inevitable. We've had it too good for too long.
We haven't got hit yet.
We got dumped on today already.
Yeah,
well, we did. We got dumped today. We got 30 centimeters today.
Jeez. Yeah. Last time we had a hard winter was the last year I worked with Al, your husband. Yeah.
Right. Yes.
Last time Nova Scotia had a hard winter, so that was probably 8 years ago.
Oh, he's complaining. It's been minus 30 up and minus 52 in Grand Prairie. And he says hi. And he may be watching tonight too, because like I said.
Holy smokes, that's cold. Minus 52.
Yeah, we dealt with that a lot.
Minus 52 with the wind chill.
Man. Yeah, so you worked with Alvin, so you experienced that as well.
Yeah.
Holy Christ, like, you would think you'd just breathe ice.
Basically, yeah. You'd have a face covering and that would just be an icicle.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Big icicles hanging off your eyelids. It was quite fun.
I bet you don't miss any of that. And then you don't miss him harassing the hell out of you either. But let me introduce you guys to the rest of the community too. So Nick and Kaylee I've known them for quite some time, but the reason why we brought them here is because they have a daughter that has got some health issues. So I'm going to let you guys tell everybody what goes on with Sophie, what she suffers from, her epilepsy, her seizures, and just introduce yourselves to the community.
So Sophie is 6 years old. She was diagnosed around 5.5 months old. She's got a rare chromosome deletion. So she's got a micro deletion on chromosome 19. It goes by Malan Syndrome, and then she's also got an NFIX gene missing and a CACNA1A. I forget that one, but it's like another epilepsy. A life-threatening epilepsy. So we started, she started having seizures around 3 years old. She has low muscle tone. She has global development delay. She has ataxia, hemiplegic migraines, and autism. But she's an amazing, happy-go-lucky girl.
Definitely the happiest girl you ever meet.
She is loves music, loves pulling wheelies.
Extremely affectionate.
she's an amazing little girl.
Yeah.
So she started with her epilepsy around 3 years old. We decided.
We were talking to the neurologists, and they got us to. I can't remember what the first pharmaceutical drug they got us to try.
So
it was clobazam.
Yeah, it was clobazam. So we were on clobazam for a while, and she started breaking out in hives, red rash, and it wasn't stopping her clusters. So the clusters were coming, and they were coming in 5 minutes. They weren't stopping until we gave her a rescue med. And the rescue meds were taking her out for probably the whole day.
They were usually Valium or something, and it would just knock her out the whole, and she'd be a zombie for 24 hours, basically.
Yeah. She's basically seizing uncontrollably.
Yeah. Like we'd take her in, and it was like her heart rate would drop, and then she'd come out of it, and then she'd freak out for a bit, and then she'd finally calm down, and then it would just go through it again and again until... Usually we gave her a medication. And
it wouldn't stop until we gave her a rescue med.
Yeah.
And then they tried her on triliptol, I think it was. And then same thing. It was really bad anger issues on that one.
She'd just get rage fits just like out of nowhere. And like you wouldn't be able to calm her down where like usually she's super happy. If she does get worked up, you can calm her down with like a song or something like she was. And like she's
biting, I'm pretty sure that was when she was biting a lot. She was really angry, really aggressive.
No balance, like really huge lack of balance. Like if you'd sit her down, it was
no appetite.
Yeah, which is she's always got a huge. She can almost out eat me, and and she was barely eating on the medications. Like, yeah. And
then there was also another one. We also tried. There was clobazam, triliptol, and then Keppra. So we tried Keppra last, and then that one, she had off-balance issues. Christmas Day, we were in hospital because she set herself off balancing, caused herself to have a seizure.
Yeah, she smashed her head off the floor.
Sounds like she's actually. You can do that. Yeah, so she fell back and hit her head Christmas Day. So we decided that these weren't working. They were still coming in clusters, and we were still having to administer a rescue med for her to stop seizing. We were traveling by ambulance 2 to 3 times a week. Nick was working in the city. He was coming home every time she was going to the hospital.
It was usually like 2 hours away.
I was happy to call in every time. I was because she was seizing.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody could help her. I had to come home, rushing home from taking care of people. I had to call ambulance while my mom was taking care of her to come back, to be with them, to administer a rescue med, and then to get her to the hospital for him to meet us there. Yeah. They finally let us try CBD oil.
Yeah, they really didn't want to, but we were lucky to have the neurologist we did in a way, because we didn't feel right just doing it on our own, because didn't want anybody coming after us saying we were doing the wrong thing. And then
so you talked to the doctor about it.
Yeah, and he finally said, like, you guys, I guess we started to get a little worked up. Like, look, we've tried 3 different ones, and it's not working. I mean, we're both we've been kind of down the cannabis road, and we know that it's not as harmful as they said it was. So we're like, let us try. It's like, you're her parents, so like, let's try it. And so we did, and we started on a really low dose, but like, we started working it up until we found it really affecting her seizures. And it got to the point where, I mean, he told us that she was on the highest dose of any kid, I think, in Canada for his studies anyway, for what he could look at. And but it's worked. I mean, she doesn't.
They don't come in clusters.
No, if she has a seizure,
a rescue med.
Yeah.
I can see how a doctor can,
right?
maybe a doctor doesn't.
And the
have
quality
the
of life she has, right? And the quality of life, like she's out running around in her little wheelchair, and she's out there outside, and she's like, she is like, it's like night and day, right? And that's the thing. Like I think Maya was up to almost like 12,000 milligrams of like high THC. Like they weren't giving her CBD. Maya was taking a combination of both. Sean would actually like extract everything that they grew himself too, as well, right? With CO too. Like they were doing everything at home because they whatever. But Maya was on a really, really strong dose. But there's a difference between her affliction and Sophie. Sophie's moving and talkable and and is reactive. Maya was that way to a point, but not. It's non-comparable. Like it's just not comparable. But in hindsight, the difference of the night and day between pharmaceuticals and cannabis.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
She's quality of life right now.
She's literally going weeks now, not napping.
I haven't seen like I don't know, maybe one a year where she has a bit of convulsions. Not like nothing like she was. Like it was.
They don't even last a minute now.
Right.
And it's usually like an absence seizure kind of.
Well, it's greatly reduced them, and it's reduced the frequency of them.
Yeah.
I can see, like, I can understand some, there's doctors out there that are hesitant. Even my own daughter was hesitant. But when it comes to the child, like Sophie, who's going through all these seizures and taking all these medications and these emergency drugs in order to save her life.
Yeah.
And they're worried about the harm that cannabis is going to do.
Right.
Yeah. Her neurologist was like, well, it could make it worse. I was like, but it could make it better.
Yeah.
And she's proof. Like she is total proof. Like these kids are proof. And I don't understand. Like I hope that your doctor is documenting this.
Yeah.
Because in reality, this is a case study. This is him watching her go from all three pharmaceuticals doing nothing to her now taking whatever, milligrams of THC, CBD, whatever you're giving her now, to going weeks without a seizure, right?
I think we're in the healthcare crisis in Nova Scotia. So I mean, not only like we were lucky to get her on CBD oil at the time we did because we had the paramedic crisis. Like we had next to no paramedics and no ambulances. And then not only that, but like our neurologist retired, and then we got one, and then she retired, and now I think IWK is down to one.
I think they've got,
or they might have hired one other
two or three neurologists for the whole Maritimes, and it's like only part time.
Yeah, so it's like we have there's a few. We're kind of tied in now to the Malan community, and we're trying to get more tied into that so they can do more, more more research into that kind of.
Well, that's exactly what is needed, though. Like for people to be open about it, right? And the thing of it is, now that the legalities are the way they are, and being a patient too, like it's always been really difficult for kids, right? And even now, it's still difficult for kids to get anybody on, like any doctor on board for anybody under the age of 18 is still super difficult, right? Yeah. But the fact that you guys are willing to, like, and it was, that we need people to speak out. We need people to talk about what they're going through. And so we can all fight and start talking to the people that we need to talk to, because this needs to go across Canada. Like, there should be a program for kids, period.
Yeah. If we weren't as open-minded and as determined as we were, it's just like somebody like Sophie could completely just stay like having seizures multiple times a week and just being laid in bed. That's basically the life she was living. It was just almost every day she'd spend the full day in bed, and
zombied out.
Yeah, and now she's loving life with her sisters. So
absolutely, and having a great time.
Donuts, like
She's got quite the appetite. She's got quite the energy. She's got quite the vocabulary coming. Yeah. It's
not hard to tell
so great.
She loves music. She loves outdoors. Like,
and you mentioned that like she would get mad, or I don't know whether you want to call it violent. I don't know whether there's some kids I've seen in documentaries over the years where they actually start to hurt themselves.
Yeah. Oh, she was getting to that point.
was.
Yeah. She'd like grind her teeth. She'd like, yeah.
She was actually
Oh,
hitting
but-
herself too, and
Yeah.
we were told not to like address it, just to just to let her, like, because she kept doing it purposefully, and it was like, so stop, and they're like, no, just let her do it, because it's like, because the more you react to it, the more she's gonna do it.
Yeah.
But she finally stopped doing that. But
Good, that's good, because this one documentary, the boy's name was Alex, and it wasn't until they got him onto cannabis that he changed his ways.
Yeah.
Because when I read the the information that Tamara sent to me, that's what I was thinking about, was about this Alex kid. And then when I see kids like this that go through things, it's always what about the children? Because they always look at what about the children and trying to protect them. But when it comes to to cannabis, why isn't it an option sooner? Like, I can see where they
Why
try
is
to
it always the last choice?
Yeah.
And we've been saying that for decades. Like, why is it not a first option for anybody?
Why isn't the research there? Why isn't the evidence, like us, there? You know what I mean? Why?
Right?
Is she still taking? Is she still taking pharmaceutical medicines as well?
No. I mean, she takes Prevacid for acid reflux, but that's even questionable at this point. She took it when she was like a baby, like for the first few years, because she would get sick every once in a while. And we couldn't really tell why, so they figured it was acid reflux. But other than that, that's it. That and the CBD.
But they just keep shoving like pharmaceuticals at a baby. Like, she's 6. Like, here, let's write this up for and. Like, seriously, like, some of the stuff we just have to wonder. Anti-seizure medication, like, that's like, what is that doing to the brain cells of, like,
it could cause brain failure. It could cause, like, there are so many things that even if we put her on the ketogenic diet, it was why would we do that? Like, she's thin as is. We want her to have an appetite. We want her eating. Like, we want her thriving.
Right. And that's but you know what? That's what they've done with Haley too. They put her on this keto diet, and Cheryl's got to struggle and buy food and all these.
That was the thing. We would all have to do it, and she would have had to fast for,
I think it was like 24 hours, and then you had to be in hospital for like a week while they monitored her.
Yeah.
And then we had to transition it over. And if we missed it, she could have a seizure.
Yeah.
Like, if we messed it up.
If like we had a respite worker give her a snack that she wasn't supposed to have.
And the ratio or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like
right now, whenever she wants, she eats us out of house and home.
She loves to eat. She's not a picky eater.
No, she out eats her sisters, and
Well, that's what you have to wonder. Like, why would you want to limit what she eats? Like, why is it always like, why quality of life, right? Like, let everybody have quality of life. Why are you trying to shove pharmaceuticals and
definitely Malan syndrome like hers? You know what I mean? You literally don't know how long you're gonna get with her, so why not have the best possible life you can? So
right.
Exactly.
Exactly. I totally agree. 100%. Yeah. That's exactly what's we as patients too, and as medical users, we need to when I believe that in some aspects there's some research being done in other countries and stuff. But I think that I was speaking to somebody that works at one of the LPs here, and they really aren't doing any medical research.
No.
Their licensed production site.
Don't understand.
Most of them are just hanging on to the license, like to the medical aspect of it, so they can get that ability to sell the patients. Like they don't really care.
Yeah.
Dr. Shaughnessy, I can't pronounce his last name. He discovered in like 1830s, 1840s that cannabis could help with the seizures on children. So talked about them not being, shaking and violent and stuff like that. And that's 160 years ago. Like,
exactly.
Like, why are we still just learning it now?
Yeah.
It's because they need more money giving them these medications because it causes more side effects for them, and then they have to give them more medication.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you, Deb agrees. Health Canada should be doing the research with the kids enrolled in the program.
Yeah, they definitely should be. Like she's
and why aren't they?
3 years.
Like, why aren't they? Like, they know that children are using this. Why are they not concerned?
Yeah.
Like, even if they want to find the harms, why are they not doing the research to find out if there are harms?
Yeah,
we know there isn't. Like, we know there's not.
It's gonna do harm. Yeah. So what is it doing? Yeah. They won't.
I'll tell you something. Actually, back about what year was that? Probably. Well, Stephen Harper was our prime minister, so I can't remember what year that was. Now, probably 2014ish.
Yeah.
No. That was probably 2009. I remember when they were doing that study to find the harms in cannabis, and they put all this money into that. And then they stopped it because they couldn't find any harms. So they discontinued this research program because they were researching to find the harms in cannabis. This was a conservative government. And because there was what's that report now in my brain? The Senate report came out showing that they actually cannabis should be legal. That was in 2000, I think. Anyway, Deb knows what I'm talking about. So at that point in time, basically they were told that there's no harms. They tried to do this research to find the harms in cannabis. Piled a whole bunch of federal money into it, and then all of a sudden it was suspended because they weren't getting the answers that they wanted. And then you didn't hear anything more about cannabis, but it was because of the courts. Because even Deb was a witness in the Hitskid case, right? Allison Murden was too, and there's been so many court cases that have pushed the medical program to where it is right now. And again, we have another couple court cases. Senate report. There you go. That's what I was talking about. She knows me. But again, we just had a couple more court cases in Saskatchewan, right? That may change the whole aspect of the medical program. Then, but why do we always have to be the last in line too? Like, as medical users, right?
I want to say the service, but like the quality of information we can get from our neurologists ever since we have switched to CBD, because they know nothing about it. They don't have any answers. So we're like, well, what if we want to switch it to a higher dose and give her a little less of it? Like, because you know what I mean? We can raise the ratio, and they don't know anything about it, and they won't give us any answers, and they'll go months without calling us back just because they don't.
Trial and error. At least the one thing is
they don't want to hear that cannabis actually helps.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's evident.
They don't want to hear it.
That is very evident.
Yeah.
Because then everything that they've learned has been a lie, right? So you go and you spend all this money going to medical school, and you've been taught all these things, and all these magical pills are going to make everything better, and they find out the only solution to everything is cannabis, and you can grow it yourself. Because it's a plant, right?
The big thing is they won't prescribe us to designate us to grow for her, because that's what my family doctor's saying right now. But that's not true. So we're trying to do like the CBD. It's like start a business thing through Nova Scotia. But right now they told us that what's holding us back is they won't pay for our permits, which is $2,500, or is it $2,500 per patient per year? And that's so we could do a pediatric micro farm, right?
Yeah.
So, because like when we first started with Sophie's CBD oil, we've got on with an LP. Thankfully, they had the youth program, which we were only paying shipping. And then that
was like $50 a month.
Not even. It was like $12, maybe $15. And then thankfully we could afford that. And then that's when we started fundraising. After they started upping it, was they put it up to 40%.
Well, we luckily had fundraised because we needed a medical stander for Sophie, and our community went above and beyond, and we ended up having, I think, $4,000, almost $5,000 more than we needed for her stander, so we had that little bit of cushion
just to back us up.
And then they just sprung it on us that they were going to be upping it to they were covering 100% or 100% of the cost, and then they were changing it to 50, so then we were going to be paying 500 and
it's $578 right now. It was $567, but now it's $578.
So Sophie is a legal licensed patient then?
Yeah, she's got 21 bottles a month, so she's got
I think it was a 2 gram a day.
3 grams.
3 grams a day.
Yep.
3
grams.
Let's get into more of that and how much she uses and so on, and how you administer it and so on and so forth after our break.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. All right. So when we return, Tamara and I will finish, or not finish, but continue our discussion with our guests. Kaylee and Nick Jones. This is the Pace Radio Show. We are live here on the Pace Radio Network.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
When you think of the number of unique products developed in the fields, kitchens, and labs at Legacy 420, it's hard to think that one stands out above the rest. But tell that to the thousands of people who have tried this amazing breakthrough product.
This is our Sacred Salve. This is actually our extra strength. It comes in 5 different strengths. It's all natural, all organic. It typically works within 10 to 15 minutes of putting it on. It's good for arthritis, it's good for inflammation, any kind of pain. We're very proud of it.
Sacred Salve, so easy to apply, along with soothing relief. To select a strength that's right for you, come in and talk to your trusted partner. Legacy 420 out on your road.
Pace Radio Network, by patients, for patients, and for those who want to know.
Did you know that the Pace Radio Network isn't just a radio network? That's right, because most, but not all of our programming is now done via video and is then podcasted at paceradio.net. So if you want to watch our programming, you'll find us on the Pace Radio Network's Facebook page, plus the show's own page, and you'll find us live on the network's YouTube channel. And don't forget, you can find it all, video and audio, at paceradio.net.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Let's share Pace everywhere. That way it can help create peace. People everywhere advocating cannabis education.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
And you're watching the Pace Radio Show. And don't forget, if you missed the live show, you can always catch the podcast, audio and video at paceradio.net. Today in the program, Tamara and I are joined by our guests, Kaylee and Nick Jones. And we're here talking about their daughter, Sophie. All right, before the break, we talked about what Sophie, how Sophie is and the condition she's got. You want to just give us a quick little rundown again, and then we'll get into her cannabis and how she consumes it, and being that she's a licensed patient.
Yeah. So Soph's got a rare condition. She's 6 years old. She's got epilepsy. She uses a wheelchair and a walker. She's nonverbal but very vocal. She does say yes and yeah. She's got mama data and some little. She said yoga the other day. So
randomly blows your mind.
And she's very you give her choices, she picks, and you when you talk to her, she definitely understands.
She knows how to communicate with you without using her words. That's definitely.
Yeah, she's pretty amazing.
That's great.
Good.
But yeah, so she's got epilepsy, and we use CBD oil for 3 years now to help her control her seizures. Yeah.
Good. And that was after trying other drugs beforehand.
Yeah.
So,
three different pharmaceutical drugs that cause
very stressful situations.
Red rash, hives,
yeah.
Night terrors, balance, no appetite.
Yeah.
And they weren't stopping the clusters.
Yeah, they weren't
and we were still having to administer a rescue med every time.
And all that changed with CBD oil.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were going by ambulance 2 to 3 times a week.
Yeah.
How quickly did you notice a difference?
Probably. Well, I mean, we noticed a difference probably within a couple weeks.
So she started. Yeah, it would be started the end of December of 2019, and then the last rescue med and ambulance was February 2020.
Good.
Right.
It's gradual up to that point, and then after that, it was a pretty good plateau of really good.
And obviously, like you said before the break, she's not on any pharmaceuticals other than CBD oil. So,
we don't have administers,
yeah. So you buy it through a licensed producer?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they ship it to you. So how do you do they give it to you as a syringe? Do they give it to you in a little jar? Or how does it come?
They give us syringes, but they're not quite. We use our own syringes anyway. But yeah, they come in little bottles with the syringe hole in
And
it.
what is it? Is it clear oil? Is it an RSO? Is it what is it?
I'll show you. It's.
Good.
It's I'm pretty sure it's an isolate.
Yeah, they must add THC to it. It's got a THC.
She takes.
I've never seen this.
It was 2 doses a day, but now she takes 3 doses a day. It's still the same dose, but it's somebody at a Mom Festival told us that 3 doses a day is better.
It lasts 8 hours.
So we asked about that.
And they were like, "Oh, we didn't know that. Thanks for telling us."
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
She takes that straight.
Okay. Yeah.
She actually.
Yeah.
She actually gets aggravated. She knows it's getting time for a medication and she hasn't had it yet.
She loves it.
Well, does it have any what's a terpene? Does it have any terpene levels in it? Because terpenes are actually beneficial too. So she might like the flavor because terpenes have smell and flavor, right?
Yeah.
So it's like you put that in your edible. That's what gives you that kind of nutty flavor when you put that into an edible, right? So
yeah,
because you could add that to any recipe too.
You give her three of those a day.
Yeah, 3 doses. We give her that's her nighttime dose, that full syringe, and then she gets 3 mils in the morning and 3 mils in the afternoon. So
and then she's got that because that one looks pretty big.
Yeah,
that's her 10 mils.
Yeah.
That was when she first started. It was 8 and 8.
Yeah.
So she still would nap during the day, but it wasn't as long, and they still weren't coming in clusters. We still hadn't had to give her a rescue med. So I asked about,
and she wasn't sleeping fully throughout the night.
We were having to give her melatonin.
Yeah,
and it wasn't helping. So we asked about that, and they said, "Why don't you change it to 6 and 10?"
Yeah.
And then we started doing the 6 and 10, and we were having awesome results.
Yeah.
So we asked about doing 3 doses a day. And they're like, "Oh, yeah, we didn't think about that."
So it's the same amount, you're just spreading it over the 3 times.
Yeah.
Same amount. It's just.
And it didn't seem to change anything. She's still same positive results. Just spanned.
She's not sleeping
She's
not
sleeping
napping during the day.
She's sleeping great throughout the night and having no naps during the day. She's still productive and
sleeps right through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I remember the last time she's been up.
No, that's got to be a year or more probably since I've had to get up with her.
Right.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's just, here I'm so used to hearing people having to hide it because of the flavor and taste and stuff. She just takes it right out of the syringe.
Yeah, we started putting it in her milk, and then we just found sometimes she'd get halfway through her cup of milk and then just get tired of it, and then we'd almost have to force it into her, and then we just find where it takes about 2 minutes just to do it a few different times, and
just a meal or two at a time, and then give her a drink, let her eat some food.
Yeah, so give her something sweet to get the taste, and she's fine.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but I mean, it's what's best for her, right?
Yeah.
Like, and how she wants to do it, and it's good that. But do you think that that's enough? Like, is it going to have to do you have somebody that can sign up a larger license if she needs more than 3 grams a day as she gets older? Like, is who like the doctor? Hopefully, because eventually she might need more, right?
They say she gains weight, and which she has, but they haven't suggested upping it yet. And her last EEG in October. I just called again to ask about it because they haven't told us her results. They said that there was no change from the last one, but there obviously is a baseline there, and she is doing good. There's no seizures at all during the EEG, so they said that just keep doing what we're doing. So,
That's a familiar line. Just keep doing what you're doing.
We don't want to know, but keep doing what you're doing.
Won't fix it, kind of thing.
I can't wrap my head around that because there's so many great results, like for so many people, right? But never mind, like they're for kids, and that's the thing, like the quality of life, the benefits.
It's impossible
overall.
At this point. It's well past the point that they can keep ignoring it. I don't know. Something's gonna change.
It's not going to be a miracle cure for every child.
No.
But why prevent the ones who it can be for?
Yeah, exactly. Why not let the one with the least amount of side effects be the first, if at least an option, if not the first option that they're trying to promote? Like, that's what I don't understand. Like, try that first, and if that doesn't take away, because there's no risk of added symptoms with it. You know what I mean?
Exactly. There's no side effects there. Like, it's not like anything harmful is going to happen if you try cannabis first.
No.
The only side effect Sophie has is loose bowel movements, and people with Malan syndrome are constipated. So
and she kind of balanced out too. Like
that's because it's an oil, right? So it's probably infused in, who knows, like it's got to be an oil base, right? What is it? Olive oil or coconut oil or
sunflower oil, and that's why we want to go with the coconut oil or.
And that's why it's got nothing. It's the oil that they're infusing. Sunflower oil.
That's a sort of one of those benefits that maybe are from the good side of things.
And like I said, it could be. I mean, the amount and how fast she eats too. There's so many variables there as well. So
because you don't need those added issues. I know Tamara and I were both on those bowel side of things, and
never fun.
Never fun.
I could never. I couldn't. There's no way I could ingest that. That's a no. I would. There's no way. I'll either. Like, there's just no way we could take it in that form because of the oil, right? It's not that the cannabis itself or whatever was infused, but sunflower oil. That's awfully funny.
Yeah.
Like, I think that they should give a better carrier oil and use something that's like the whole plant.
Yeah, it'd be nice to do a full spectrum oil, like
full spectrum.
We've had a friend say that he could get Charlotte's Web clones shipped across from the States, but so that might be an avenue we could try to go down. But
there's probably different options out there as far as the plants. As far as some that depends on.
Well, the Great Gardener has the barb, and he has a whole line of CBD strains, right? Not Barron, right? In BC, the Great Gardener. So they became legal. Him and Kirk Tusaw, and I believe their seeds are available. I have to double check that, but the Great Gardener has CBD for barb and He's got a whole array of just CBD plants, and there's also Haley's Comet available in Canada as well.
What do they have? What do they give her for strength wise?
She's on a 22-to-1 right now, and it's a Snoopy, so it's not even something for epilepsy. So like that's why they don't even know what they're just. And like I've talked to other patients, other kids
22-to-1
that are on a different spectrum. So why is the neurologist giving us a different spectrum than somebody else's kid?
Yeah,
it just doesn't even make sense.
Yeah.
I know of a strain out there that's about a 20-to-1, but you know it's there's more to it than just that.
Yeah.
This is supposed to be like, you know, coming from an LP that's supposed to know these things, right?
Exactly. That's where we're at. Yeah.
So you try and think, okay, well that says, so they're lab testing it. Are they? Like, where are these lab people?
Yeah.
We've heard that one of the LPs was going behind one of the other LPs back and testing theirs and making sure that it was actually
what they said.
They said it was, and it's not. So that's the reason why we want to fight for what we're fighting for.
Yeah.
Mention the lawsuits on moldy weed.
Well, that's what I have to wonder, right? Is because, like, you know, they have all these labels and they have all these, you know, like, for, you know, on the back where they got total CBC. This is new because before they didn't have all this breakdown. Now all of a sudden these legal packagings have total CBC, total CBG, total CBD, total THCV, total THC. So why are they breaking down the and then it goes on to terpenes. These are new packagings because when they first started selling,
that probably goes down to the manufacturer too on some of that.
So this is a terpene. It's got all the terpenes on here too: alpha pine, D-limonene, alpha disomalomol, like all of this.
Yeah.
On their little packages now. This is all, like I said, new.
Yeah.
But this is called Johnny Chronic.
Yeah.
And I went in asking for Remos, and apparently, yeah. And if you produce in BC, it goes to Ontario first.
Yeah, well, hello from Ontario. I went to the store and asked for those joints, and they informed me today that they won't be ordering any in because they were concerned that they wouldn't be able to sell them all here in this town that I'm in.
Wow.
So they must have to buy a minimum.
How many?
Pardon me?
What was the minimum?
I don't know. There must be a minimum. If they wouldn't even order me one in, they had to order it in. They told me to go to the OCS to order it. But as far as their store, they would have to place an order for the store. And I don't know. Maybe there's a minimum. Maybe they had to buy 10 joints and they only had a guaranteed sale on one. And they don't sell too many 2-gram joints. So they said they wouldn't be getting it in. So they told me to go. They told me another store to try. So,
wow.
See what
happens.
No,
I was told that I live in BC and it's produced in BC, so we won't be seeing it for a while.
Yeah.
All the BC weed still goes to Ontario. Oh my God! I'm smoking weed from Thornhill, Ontario.
Funny.
So the doctor that was hesitant at first obviously accepted or agreed with you because it signed the paperwork. And
her neurologist was the first one, but her family doctor's on board and her pediatrician's on board, even with signing the petition.
Good.
Oh, that's excellent.
Good.
That's awesome.
Good. Now, have you really seen them turn? You've really seen them turn and come your way and support with what you're doing. They're seeing it. They're seeing the proof right in front of their eyes.
I almost find the more specialized they are, the more stubborn they are. Like the neurologists, like I say, we got lucky with the first one we had, and then the rest have been, I don't know, more distant on it, more willing to see the benefit, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Do you ever worry that maybe
deny it when it's right in front of their face? Especially if they're, actually a medical doctor, the research that comes along with wanting to be a medical doctor, like you'd think they think this is actually an amazing thing. I want to really start researching and finding out how many other children they could help with this, right? And that's something that with their, like I said, if they're
do you ever? I've seen one parent whose child's medication was stopped being produced by a licensed producer. You haven't ran into that issue in your 3 years?
Well, actually, that was what was going on. Our LP supposedly was running out of Shuby, and then because they switched over to another LP that they're distributing their stuff out of, so we weren't sure if we were going to get Shuby, and literally I got the call today to tell me what we could use, which is not even the same as what we're on. They told us we could go to a 50 to 0 or a 37 to like 0.26. And it's like we're on a 22 to 1. So you're going to risk changing her dose when we can go to a 50 to 2 or something that's even equivalent to what she's on. Yeah. Like they don't even
lower it. Like don't take the THC.
Yeah. Like that's what I
want to go up on the THC. Like you want to go more like a 50 to 2 rather than going down. Like that's going to cause her to seize if she goes off. Like you can't unbalance it like that. You can go up, but you definitely don't want to go down.
Exactly. It helps the muscle spasms. It helps the vomiting. It helps like their appetite. There's so many things that the THC helps. Yeah. It's not just the CBD.
Yeah. No.
Correct. Exactly.
And there's, like I said, the other compounds too. Like I just read them off, and the terpenes and everything that is involved in that full spectrum of the plant, right?
Yeah, I don't think it's just the epilepsy that it helps either, where she has autism and stuff. I find she is more verbal, more interactive ever since.
Yeah, like actually intentional play and wanting to color now. Yeah. Like she's actually wanting to color. Yeah. She'd never wanted to, Yeah,
her interacting with her sisters and living a normal.
That's all improved.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I imagine the sisters have noticed it. I'm assuming they
weren't really around for the rough. Yeah, because our the middle Chloe is just turned 2, and our youngest is 1. So they're just kind of getting to enjoy the good part of Sophie, the good life.
We were pregnant with Chloe when we were going through all of the ambulance rides and all of the trying to figure out everything. So I'm thankful that it was calmed down a little bit. So so
right. And I mean, like the fact that she is up and she can, sit in her chair and she can sit on the couch and she watches TV and she does. Some pretty normal things that a 6-year-old should be doing, right? Yeah, exactly. Like, and that's amazing. Like I said, when you watch the videos of her, scooting around out in the driveway, those are amazing things that you don't, like every day, right? Is a new day. And this is what cannabis has done for her. So I think that's just the best part of this. And then she's not, like the side effects. She's eating. Oh, she sleeps.
Yeah,
those are pretty bad side effects, right?
Yeah, almost impossible to put weight on her. She needs the appetite.
Right.
Start gaining weight.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely.
And it's
a whole lot of positives.
The changes are just huge, really.
Yeah. Unignorable.
Exactly. Now, so when it comes to obviously, there's the dealing with getting the cannabis and stuff. Now you mentioned she's in a wheelchair. By the looks of the picture that I saw on the promo for this, it's not just a regular standard wheelchair, is it?
She has a pretty standard wheelchair, and then she has what's called a hippocamp. That's kind of more of an off-road. It's more built.
That's probably what I saw then.
Yeah, it's longer, and it can go down on sandy beaches, down right in the water, and then we can ski on the front of it and take it down in the snow. And that's quite a nifty little rig.
That is. That's terrific, right?
Yeah, that's absolutely great. Get you to experience those things. So
but
She's pretty quick in her wheelchair. She goes right down into her room.
Blows everyone's mind when they come over. They're like, "Man, she's pretty good in that thing." They're like, "Yeah." She's like, she'll maneuver around tables, chairs, and go right down the hallway down into her room. I'm like, wow.
She's an independent little 6-year-old too, right? Like, which is really great.
Yeah.
You know, she just kind of beetles around and does her thing. And wants to just like, but that's like, again, like, you have to like wonder if you would have just stayed with the regime of pharma.
Exactly.
3 years from fast forward, would she be the same? Yeah. And when you like finally said, "No, I'm done with you guys. Like, I'm just gonna give her this and see where we go with it." And I mean, I'm sure if it hadn't worked, you would have, had to make some harder decisions. But thankfully, right now, everything's rolling, positively, and you don't have to make, any decisions to have to even, deal with any of that at this point. So, but yeah, again, like, you don't want to lower her down. I tell these, I don't know who, is telling you to take it down to whatever, 0. Good grief.
Well, the ones that are supposed to be knowing what to tell people what to do.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, it sounds like they're going to be
better. It's just,
being the fact that you're losing the strain that works.
Yeah.
That medicine's working. I don't know whether they explain why it's being discontinued, but
no,
geez, it's obviously life-saving, and I can see why you're fighting. It'd be nice to keep it and looking for a solution for this, because if there's nothing out there that matches it, then you would think that they're looking for that.
Yeah.
Thankfully, we did have her medication again this month, but I don't know if they're going to keep doing it. So I asked just to have a backup in case, but I thought it would be better to have like a 50-2 so we didn't have to give her so much. But they don't even want to look into any of that.
Yeah.
And
they never have any answers.
There's nothing on the market that's even close to that. Like,
there is a too, I think. And there's also like 109 to, I forget what that one is. We've got a couple of
52 would be what, a 25-1, if you.
Yeah, we've got a Hopewell from the same company that's a 55-3. So
now, have you tried any of these different strains?
Not ourselves, no. We have them just in case. I mean, but
they're her backups because we haven't, where her neurologist says, because I even told them how this new LP said that we could order whatever we wanted for her. And she's like, even though the old LP said we were only able to order her Shubi. And she's like, oh, that's really weird. Like, it's like, okay, but why can we order this, but we can't? And they even told us to stock up. Like, it doesn't even make sense. Like,
so like, were you not limited to the amount you could buy, but you got to stock up?
The LP before us was only 21 bottles, like for full medication, like prescription. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for the month. Yeah.
With this new LP, they said that we could stock up and we could order something else that's not her prescription.
They were like, where they didn't know if Shubi was going to be sticking around. They're like, well, you could get a couple months worth or whatever and stock up where you don't know if it's going to be around.
But we didn't want to try that where we're on Shubi.
Oh yeah, because you know what, they like, because of the recreational line, right?
Exactly. I don't want
they can sell you as much as they want now because the medical license really doesn't. They don't really care.
Yeah.
They can sell you 30 grams a day, whatever you want, every day for the whole month. If you got money to spend, they'll take your money. And the taxes and everything about it, right? So, like even if she has a 3 gram a day licensing, you can still go into a legal store and buy 30 grams a day without a license at all.
Well, that was the thing before. If they said that if we ran out of her prescription, we could go to the LC and pick up something similar to her prescription.
Yeah.
So and I also mentioned to her neurologist nurse, I said, what happens when she turns 18? What's the difference then? Are you guys going to make us still go through Health Canada, or is it going to be able to be? Are we going to be able to produce it ourselves? And she's like, I guess that's a good point. Like, so it doesn't really matter.
I don't know what prevents you really now from being able to produce it, other than the doctor didn't want you to.
I literally
signed the right license. So what they've done is they've given them a license, like an LP licensing, right? They didn't give them the Go license. And most places, it depends on who's signing your license, and they don't want to sign. So they don't have to sign the Grow license itself. They have to sign one page on that, but on the whole, like 11 pages, right? So, but the doctor has to fill that. Well, you fill out that form because mostly it's your name, address, and all that information, right? And there's only one spot on the whole application that the doctor has to sign. But if they sign the back form of that application, that goes straight to a licensed producer.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the back page there's a spot for them to check off to go to the producer.
Right,
Yeah,
and you need the doctor to not do that. And then you need the doctor to not do that. And if the doctor doesn't sign that back page, then you take that page, you give them sign the back, like the front of that page where they sign anyway, and you send that to Health Canada. And depending on how many grams a day they're, entitled to, it's 5 plants per 1 gram. Right?
Yeah. Per gram. And you fill out the application to grow for her as a designated grower.
Yeah. Well, like family doctor, I was just going to say our family doctor gave me my prescription, but then told me on the same page that she couldn't designate me to grow for my daughter.
She doesn't have to.
That's not true. You're lying.
Yeah, you can grow for one
She doesn't
person.
have to.
Yeah,
she doesn't have to. It's got nothing to do with her. All she has to do is sign your license. If you don't,
it sounds more like she was trying to make. It sounds like it's more like trying to make you get her end of her medication from a manufacturer, where she would be looking at it as being consistent and being made in a lab or factory versus being made in the kitchen stove.
That's how a lot of.
Because I know my family doctor wouldn't sign my prescription for cannabis because it couldn't guarantee consistency where you can in a pill.
Yeah,
right?
we had another. I feel like there was another doctor you were talking to. I can't remember. I feel like she was out of Ontario. They were saying that
LBC
that we basically couldn't do it because you wouldn't be able to do that yourself because there was no way you could tell, like you said, the consistency, and you'd have to get it tested and then consistently tested and all this stuff.
Right. That's maybe what it was. All right. Off to break we go. Time to pay some bills. Tamara and I will be back to continue the discussion with our guests, Kaylee and Nick Jones. You're watching or maybe listening to the Pace Radio Show here on the Pace Radio Network.
We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Pace Radio is the people advocating cannabis education radio network.
Did you know that the Pace Radio Network isn't just a radio network? That's right, because most, but not all of our programming is now done via video and is then podcasted at paceradio.net. So if you want to watch our programming, you'll find us on the Pace Radio Network's Facebook page, plus the show's own page, and you'll find us live on the network's YouTube channel. And don't forget, you can find it all, video and audio, at paceradio.net.
Legacy 420 have an awesome array of cannabis-infused beverages, from pop to Nature's Nectar's teas, all in amazing flavors. What a selection. We even have a delicious mango-infused juice, and let me tell you, it's delicious.
Everything is infused in-house, so we buy our syrup from, the same place where everybody else buys their syrup for their pop, and in the infusion is done in the lab. It's all canned here, labeled here, produced 100% on Tynaniga.
We have 2 lines of drinks. One is called our Nature's Nectar. That was our original line that we came out with. And then we also have a line under the Red E brand. We have them in 10 milligrams, 30 milligram, and 60 milligram cans.
What a great selection for a get-together with friends or after a long day. Remember, if you want to wet your whistle with on-site lab-tested products, come see your trusted partner. Legacy 420 out on your road.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
Welcome back to the Pace Radio Show. We are live here on CBG TV as well as Pace Radio Network, paceradio.net. Tonight in the program, we are joined by our guests, Kaylee and Nick Jones, and we've been talking about their daughter, Sophie, throughout the night. And Sophie deals with epilepsy and has other list of conditions that probably best for me to hand that all over to Kaylee and Nick to explain.
Yeah, so she's got a rare chromosome deletion that is a microdeletion on chromosome 19. It goes by 19p.13p.12p.13 deletion. Then you got
remember that.
Then you got your NF5 gene, and then you got your CACNA1A gene missing.
It's easier to say Malan syndrome usually, but
yeah,
it's nice to get the detailed description sometimes.
Right?
But she's
but she's, like I said, difference from night and day from using, pharmaceuticals to using cannabis medicine, right? And having some quality of life, which is amazing for the whole family, I'm sure. Like, it's probably like an amazing difference, like not up all night worrying, I mean, I'm sure you still worry, but to see her sitting in a chair coloring with the other 2 kids and, that's, kind of the stuff, right? So you can take a minute and just sit back and go, look at this amazing little child.
Yeah,
like,
it makes
with all the barriers. And
the 2 youngest a lot most days, you know what I mean? It's she's
not worrying about her seizing and having to administer a rescue med. You're just oh, you seized. Okay, are you all right? Okay, you're fine. Okay, now she's back to normal, and then we're on our day. We're not
most
having
times
to
you're
call
not
an ambulance.
Most times you're not even seeing a seizure. You can tell by the postictal state. Like you can tell, like she's usually pretty lethargic.
You almost miss them nowadays. Like they're very short.
Yeah.
Don't come.
Tamara mentioned family. Now I obviously I didn't know you before tonight. Some parents end up being accidental advocates because they were non-consumers, and all of a sudden they have a child that is is sick, and they find out the benefits of cannabis, and next thing you know, they're screaming at the top of their lungs about the benefits of cannabis.
Yeah,
and,
I wouldn't say we were advocates for it, but we both kind of found the benefits to it. Kind of like we both struggled with ADHD, her dyslexia, and stuff like that, and then we just both really found a lot of benefits in it when we started using it. It just became more of a medicinal thing than a recreational thing.
Yeah, I have it prescribed so that was another reason I knew it helped.
It's one thing for you two as adults to do that, but all of a sudden you're probably in a situation where you're having to talk to your parents or your family about this is something that we're looking at trying to do with Sophie.
It was a long road. Definitely, even right down to when we wanted to use her trust money to get the CBD oil. I mean, her trustee was like, well, maybe they just want the oil for themselves. It's like, we're not really into that kind of that's when you really know there's not a lot of understanding going on. It's like, no.
Right.
Yeah. No, because you see, like in the literature that Tamara had that I assume came from Kaylee mentions that we know about stigma and that.
Oh, yeah.
And that's obviously what you're going.
You definitely see it a lot more. Like, I mean, it's one thing when you smoke weed every now and then as a late teenager, and then when you have a kid, and then you really see the stigma come out. It's like, oh yeah, they're just trying to get their kid high. It's like, what the hell's wrong with you? What do you
but
think?
you guys want to get her high off of the Valium and the Tylenol.
They have no problem with that, and it's like, what? I don't understand the perspective sometimes. It's like,
how high can she be? Like, she's smiling, she's giggling, she's active, she's functioning. Like, rather than laying on a couch being a zombie. So what's the difference? Because Valium's like just going to lay her back, like, meh. But cannabis doesn't do that. Like, depending on the strain and what you're using, and obviously you're not using something that's putting her couch lock, right? So
the first couple times we introduced CBD oil, I mean, the result, like
she first started talking.
Yeah, the symptoms weren't anywhere near comparable to like the Valium would just completely zonk her. Like,
not even
amazing that they want to just give a child Valium.
Mm-hmm.
Like, as an adult, I can't get Valium, but they do it to a child. Like, what the hell?
They're like, oh, and I was like, oh, what is it? And they're like, oh, it's just Valium. I'm like, Valium.
2 to 3 pounds.
Oh,
okay.
It's just Valium. Wow.
Right? Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
There was one part of a documentary. I'm just trying to think of what it was. The name of the documentary was, and there's a young boy in there by the name of Jared, and he dealing with epilepsies and stuff, and they were giving him benzos.
Yeah.
And apparently enough for like a full grown adult, giving this to a 7-year-old kid.
Yeah.
And like his dad's talking to these addiction
places,
that's trying to get help for his kid.
Yeah, that's what the Valium is that's a benzodiazepine, I think. Yeah, the same thing. Yeah. And she was lucky the first couple of times they gave it to her because they crushed it up and put it in a drink, and then the other times they'd have to do it rectally, and it's just
that was awful.
Yeah, I don't think anybody wants to watch anybody have to anybody do that to their kid.
Right?
Like, Deb agrees. Just Valium.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, the rescue med was administered rectally as a suppository, and then we were finally allowed to do a nasal spray.
Yeah.
And then I was like, this is ridiculous. They're still coming in clusters. They're not stopping until we give her a rescue med. Can we please try CBD oil, please?
It comes down to the fact that you just got to take the health of, and take the risk and take it into your own hands. And that's unfortunate because it shouldn't have to be that way.
No.
You shouldn't have to risk yourself. You shouldn't have to risk the legalities. You shouldn't have to worry about them. It was, the whole spectrum, CBS, all, the bullshit, the stigma, all of it in spectrum. And have to look over your shoulder because you're trying to do the best thing for your child.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, like even with the legal, market that we've got in Canada now, it's still not legal to administer to a minor, right? It's still not legal to transfer.
Research now in 2022, it's too easy to just get the research and get the information so one way or the other, and you can and all in all get your shit together.
I think it's that our MLA's secretary even mentioned, like, why don't I just do it illegally?
There's enough people out there that know, like, it's
correct.
It's not right.
There's lots of parents who have had to do that. Well, you got to remember, before the Smith decision, at one time the only legal form of medical cannabis was smoked.
Yeah,
and there was kids that were licensed. And that's why one mother got involved in the Supreme Court of Canada case, and that's Manny McKnight for San Leon. And basically, you expect my 5-year-old kid to smoke with
I'll pre-roll them.
I make for them. I'm breaking the law. Like, come on.
Yeah.
This is,
throw it into a cookie, like in full, like, here, just grind it up and throw it into a cookie and eat that.
Yeah.
There was you weren't legal to make cannabis butter. You weren't legal to make any tinctures. You weren't illegal to make any oils, and like it was, you couldn't share it. Like, and even after the Smith ruling, you still couldn't share it patient to patient. It wasn't until legal cannabis recreational came in that it's actually legal to share now.
I didn't know that.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
No. Okay, so you're looking for a what's her dose now? What is it now? 22-1?
Yeah. And she takes 3 mils in the morning, 3 mils in the afternoon, and then 10 mils at night.
3, 10, so that's 16 mils. Okay. I don't know if you've seen our commercials, but one of our sponsors.
You almost have me excited. I wish I had a story.
I'll check. I'll check with them. See if they got anything that can even match that along that line as far as any oils.
Yeah,
that would be cool.
Yeah, and it might be. I'm not sure, but it might be more affordable.
They're not a licensed producer, but they are fully lab tested. They have licensed lab techs.
That's what we
you can see
they're on the
they're not in a little shack on the side of the road.
That's what we've been offered quite a few of those so far, and it's just like, as much as we'd love to.
We appreciate it. We really appreciate it, but I don't want.
Just like the little peace of mind involved.
Yeah.
I want to get in trouble for trying to make sure my daughter isn't going by ambulance.
Yeah, where it's being made.
That too.
As some say, it's better to be legally alive than legally dead.
Yeah.
But, that's the saying. I'm not saying in this case, okay? But it's always something to know as a backup.
Yeah.
These ones are on the roads, right?
Where you couldn't
and they've got their own. Well, because they're on reservations, like they're First Nations, right? They have their own system, so it's the same as the legal system that they've just taken it to and done it on their own, and they're allowed to because of their sovereign nation stuff, right? So they're allowed to do it on their own lands. We've got one out here too in Tamara because I don't know if it wasn't an hour drive out there on these snowy, crappy roads. It's easier just to drive down the block.
Yeah.
To be fair, like I said, for me, I'm working so much now, and I smoke, but I like to vape, and don't. It's easy.
In the information, there was something to do with a petition.
Yeah, well, we're still working on that right now. Debbie's actually still working on the prayer because we didn't know how to word it. Because we have to word it one way. We can't word it so I asked pharmacare to cover it as an exceptional drug because we can't get medical insurance or health insurance for Sophie. So I asked pharmacare to cover it as an exceptional drug, and they pretty much laughed at us. And direct family home support won't cover it either, even though they covered every ambulance bill, every rescue med, every anti-epileptic medication that we were on, or not me, but Sophie. But they won't even touch her CBD oil.
Yeah, won't even chip in.
We've been fundraising and trying to make sure that
we've even tried to say how much money we've honestly saved you by not just paying for the CBD oil, but just giving it to her in general. It's just and like I said, in the middle of an ambulance crisis, in the middle of a healthcare crisis, to have her in there multiple times a week. And it was like a direct route into a room, taking up space for hours and hours and
just
hours.
To monitor.
Just to watch her, just to feed her. You know what I mean? It's just money. And it's nothing now. We don't. We don't get to see her if she's got a really bad cold or sinus infection or something like that. It's a normal childhood.
It's a visit to the doctor's office. It's not an ambulance ride.
Yeah.
Right? The last one was a febrile seizure, and that was for almost 2 years.
Yeah.
Since COVID, pretty much.
Yeah.
and it wasn't even that bad. Like, it was just because she was ill because she had the flu, and she had a seizure because she had the temperature.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Absolutely. Yeah.
like, yeah.
But I mean, the success rate, like the first one in 2 years, like
Yeah.
that's like
Uh-huh.
that's absolutely phenomenal. Like,
Definitely
it
the fact that
really
she's
is.
been sick through the 2 years. Like she's had colds, flus, and still not still pushed through without seizures. So
Good. Just it's just keep your fingers crossed that you can maintain a supply, or maybe all of a sudden the people who you are getting it from are change their mind.
Yeah.
Now, okay, petition. Now, is there something? Now, is that the petition that's going to be going to the MLA?
Yeah, so like right now we're working on trying to figure out what we're trying to word it. So it's either we ask for like pharmacare to cover it as an exceptional drug, or we ask to license produce ourselves, which I don't know if that's something that they're willing to do. So we're looking at trying to just get it covered in general. So that's what Debbie's working on right now. And that's what's stopping us, because we asked about like doing it ourselves as a licensed producer, but it's $2,500 per year per patient. So that's eventually, if we can get there, but that's what's stopping us right now from having a pediatric farm for.
Yeah, because it sounds like we mentioned earlier, you'd be setting up an actual company.
Yeah. We want to have a compassionate program, just like
kind of the
we
dream.
were offered.
Yeah.
Like,
so you would have to create a building, get all the equipment, and then they probably come in and do an inspection and stuff like that.
So Sophie is granted the Make-A-Wish, but they haven't got back to us on it yet. But I asked for an accessible greenhouse. And then I thought that CBDC could help out with the rest of the business stuff. If we had an accessible greenhouse, then we had enough room to at least produce for her until we could produce for others.
Yeah. And that's a good goal, be able to produce for yourselves and as well as for others.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we even know other kids that like Sophie that have benefited from CBD oil even in Nova Scotia. So I've
had a couple, probably 3 to 4 parents that have reached out to me asking about dosing, asking about if we are going to start, and if we do, they're willing to put in money. They're willing to
support.
Yeah.
Now, so have you gone, okay, like obviously like tonight you're here with us, but have you like gone any big media to try to maybe draw attention and awareness to this?
I've messaged CTV and CBC. They haven't responded back. So I feel like they've got their own agenda, and we aren't important to them. So yeah.
Like I know when Mandy came out about Liam, they had Mandy on the talk shows and stuff talking about Liam, and Debbie even appeared on one of their talk shows talking about medicinal cannabis and the candies and the RSOs and the Foucaults and stuff like that. But that would be all new. It was all new, right?
Yeah.
And now,
I think they need another coverage. Like I've said to her LPs, her main LP, I said, like, why can't you guys use her as a spokesperson for other people?
Like an advocacy program where she's like a poster child of look what we could do with.
They're not allowed to. That's something the unfortunate thing in the Cannabis Act. There's no advertising allowed.
Yeah, that's true.
It's totally in the legislation. They can't have anything that's appealing to anything, and it's because medicinal's completely separate from that either. The recreational, they can't. They're just, it's not that they don't want to.
Yeah.
I'm sure if they had any possible way of, getting away with doing something, they probably would. But the legislation is so tight on them that there's nothing allowed to be appealing to anybody, not just children, anybody to want to consume cannabis, because they didn't really want to, you know what I mean? This wasn't this is the Canadian people wanted this.
Yeah.
That's what they voted for. The Canadian people spoke, and that's what they had to do. They went dragging their feet every step of the way.
Yeah.
It was, it wasn't like they just went la 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 la.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. It didn't need any advertising.
But they can't advertise.
It's quite mind blowing to see the change in the last few years.
Right, but again, the market now is for strictly recreational.
Yeah.
Why we have to rely on these court cases that have come up, and why we have to keep relying on court cases for patients, and keep fighting with our government and to recognize cannabis as a medicine, because they still do not recognize cannabis as a medicine. Health Canada still does not acknowledge it because there's not enough research. There's not and no intent to do it, because we haven't pushed for it. Like, since recreational became, the doctors, you can go to the store, and everybody has access. And that was the thing that we talked about when we were fighting for medical patients. Everybody needed to have access. Well, now everybody's got access. Every 2 blocks everywhere around you. Where I live, you can walk 2 blocks here, 2 blocks there, 2 blocks there, 2 blocks there, and there's a pot store. And I live in a small population. In Alberta, it's like, the Wild West. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
So access is no longer an issue. Affordability, well, they've brought it down, so you can buy an ounce in the store for $50. So, you know what I mean? The affordability levels there. So now they've got the consult. Do we even need a medical program at all? Is one of the questions.
Well, that's what they're asking. They asked that question 5.2, and people like yourselves were people who we were mentioning that yes, we still need a medical program.
Right? Because if they take that aspect out of the Cannabis Act, because they actually rolled the ACNPR into the Cannabis Act when recreational became active with the legislation, you lose your grow, because then they would be down to 4. Because if you don't have access to a medical program, ACNPR, then you don't have your license to grow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a sad situation.
Well, we're down to the last 3.5
That 90 minutes went quick, didn't it, guys?
Yeah.
It did.
Yeah.
Hey, time for a shout out, person, place, or thing, website. If you're doing any fundraising for Sophie, if you got a website or wherever you can direct people to, this is the opportunity to do so.
Yeah, I don't think we have any fundraising going on right now. I mean, we're always willing to take donations for Sophie through Kaylee's email, but the only really shout out we can think of is the MUM, Maritimers United for Medical Marijuana.
Debbie has definitely gone above and beyond for us, and we appreciate everything she does, and they all do. They are all welcoming. The Christmas Bazaar was amazing. Everybody was so welcoming of Sophie. So interested in wanting to know about her and wanting to know what she...
Great batch of people and great exchange of knowledge and...
wanting to help.
Right? Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And now, like I said, now you've got, from coast to coast to coast, where it's been broadcasted. So let's see what magic can happen, because, we like to see success, right? And we need to keep pushing. Again, we always keep saying that it was work to be done. Yeah. But and that's where it's at. The kids need to have some access. They need to have the dosing, what they need. Medical patients need their dosing.
Yeah. They need somebody that knows what they're doing.
Yeah, I was going to say, and the parents need the knowledge there to know that they're not just guessing. You know what I mean? They don't want to just throw something at their kid and not know what they're doing. Where they can give a dosage for any pharmaceutical, I think the research should be there that they can give a dosage for.
There's a message there from Deb. She says, "Our pleasure."
I love you, Debbie.
We definitely do.
Okay.
We do love you, Debbie.
It's time for us to head her out. The clock's running out.
Well, it's great talking.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for having us and being able
Our pleasure too. Absolutely.
Awareness for Soph.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll just keep
Yeah.
sharing and sharing and sharing and sharing, and that's what we have to keep doing.
Yeah.
If you don't
That's
keep
right.
talking about it, you can't spread the knowledge, you can't spread awareness, and that's all it takes. It's just keep spreading the word.
Yeah.
All right, thank you to our sponsors, legacy420.com, as well as Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. You'll find us here next week, same time, same place. We'll have some more guests before we go on our holiday break. Other than that, thank you to Kaylee and Nick for coming on the broadcast tonight and sharing your story about Sophie.
Thank you guys for having us.
You're welcome. Thank you. And good night.
Night.
The views expressed by the individuals during this broadcast are their own opinions, and they may not be the same as those of their group or other organizations they may be involved with.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.